Oh, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am Mr. Warren Hayes. Thank you all for joining me once again for another pro wrestling escapade where we talk about pro wrestling for a good a long time. There's a lot, of course, super busy week. I mean, some of the wildest news, some of the wildest events that happened in wrestling in such a long time happened this week. So, of course, there's a lot to talk about, a lot about All Out, CM Punk, The Elite. That's mostly what we're going to be talking about tonight. So hopefully you're ready to strap in and follow me for the ride on this one. So I'm going to keep this short. So listen, if you're on YouTube right now, thank you. Thank you very much for watching this on demand. Leave a like. I appreciate that. And subscribe if this is your first time as well. And hey, I want to talk to you guys about pro wrestling. I want to talk about what's going on with CM Punk. What are your thoughts? What the hell is going on? Let me know how you feel about the scrum, the reactions, the fight backstage, everything that's been going on. Leave some comments. All this stuff helps out a great deal, and I appreciate it tremendously. If you are listening to this on your favorite podcast app, again, thank you. That's also very appreciated. A 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, a 5-star rating on Spotify. Those things help out a great deal to help grow the show. Join the Discord. The link is in the description. And that's pretty much it. You can also become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel on YouTube. That gives you access to members-only stuff, such as the Going Broadway shows. I will be going Broadway, and going Broadway meaning that all the content that I don't get to cover on the main show, I do it for members only. So consider becoming a member there. It's really, really, really inexpensive, and it shows a little support from me as well. So look, there's so much to talk about. I'm not going to take any more time doing some housekeeping. Let's get right to it. I have to continue my New Year's resolution to say something nice about Bill Goldberg, right? One thing a week. Now, last week, for those of you who were here, I did not say something nice about Bill Goldberg. So tonight, we're getting a double feature. I'm catching up. So tonight, I'm saying 2 nice things about Bill Goldberg. You know, Goldberg never got mad at the kids in the back for not listening to his advice. You know, not that he had any to offer in the first place, you know. Robin Hayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg. All right, so that was the first nice thing about Bill Goldberg. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do the second nice thing about Bill Goldberg. Robin Hayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg. Biting? What about car window shattering? How about locker headbutting? Kids today, they don't know shit. Robin Hayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg. Weekly wrestling inspection. Let's just go right ahead and do it. So I've been putting a lot of thought in how to go about talking about everything that's been going on, right? And look, we all know the CM Punk Elite stuff, all of that was very is very topical in the news, right? But I feel like I kind of have to go at this in order, right? I kind of have to do a chronological thing here, right? So I think we're going to lead in with All Out 2022. I think that makes the most sense, right? I think that's what makes the most sense to do here at this point. All Out 2022. Let's start with that review, because then everything sort of leads in naturally afterwards, right? William Davis, nice to see you, member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Good to see you and welcome. So as it stands right now, in the year of our Lord 2022, on September the 8th, I will outright announce that All Out 2022 is by far my least favorite AEW pay-per-view I've seen so far. Was it a bad show? No. Was it a great show? No. I think it was a show that had some very good moments, great matches, but overall I don't think it lived up to the experience that I expect out of AEW and AEW. I thought I said A&W. I have burgers on the brain right now. I think when I'm done here, I'm going to get a teen burger over an A&W with some onion rings and a nice frosty root beer. I'm not going to lie. And I'm already salivating at the mouth like you know. But come back on track now, Warren. As if there's nothing to talk about tonight. It really was my least favorite. And I wrote this on the Discord as we were all hanging out live and watching it together, and we were chatting in the live watching channel. I said it right there, and I said to everyone, I hope everyone is enjoying this episode of Dynamite. And people got mad at me. Like, come on, Warren. As if saying an episode of Dynamite is bad. I like Dynamites most of the time. When's the last time I sat here and I told you this Dynamite stunk? Doesn't happen very often. Right? It really doesn't happen very often. But I felt like I was watching an extended episode of Dynamite for good and ill. And the difference that I had last Sunday, Labor Day weekend Sunday, whatever you want to call it, is that I paid $60, Canadian rubber bucks, to watch the show, as opposed to when I watch Dynamite on cable, which is included in my cable package, right? Oh, Hops88 was there as well. So there you go. Hey, Get Your Podcast. Nice to see you and welcome. So so that's how it felt to me. And again, sitting there going, I hope you're enjoying this episode of Dynamite. A lot of people, it's funny. It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the Discord, but I was like, what? I like Dynamite usually, but this ain't this doesn't feel like a pay-per-view. Doesn't feel like a big all-out show. And there's multiple reasons for that, and we're going to get to it, but let's start with the pre-show. The pre-show isn't necessarily conducive to my enjoyment of the pay-per-view overall, but you know, we got Sammy Guevara and Tay Melo successfully defending the AAA or AAA World Mixed Tag Team titles against Ortiz and Ruby Soho, who they had just defeated 2 nights ago on Rampage. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. You know, I thought this was pretty fun though. Like overall, just a fun little match. Was able to move on quickly from it. Then we had Hooks successfully defending the FTW title match against Angelo Parker or Cool Hand Ang. Again, I thought this was fine. Nothing more about it. And then at the end, Action Bronson ran in to help save Hook. And he got because 2.0 were ganging up on him. And I think it's weird when non-wrestlers come in to beat up wrestlers. Like, to me, that's weird. Because everyone's a professional in something, right? And 2.0, well, they're, you know, despite the fact that they're goofballs, you know, they're professionally trained athletes, you know. You wouldn't think that a guy like Action Bronson, who looks, hey, you remember last week when I was ranting about summer fashion and how everyone looks gross in summer fashion, especially dudes? With that, you know, exactly what Action Bronson was wearing, exactly the type of fashion I despise about summer, and I'm so excited for people to get back into their fall clothes. Looked like a bum. I'm like, oh, really? Is this what we're doing? Now, please. No one come tell me, Warren, they're doing this for, crossover with a star, a mainstream star, mainstream for Action Bronson, sure. But, a breaking out, I know why they're doing it. You can understand why someone does something and disagree with it, right? I understand why my doctor has to do what he does when I get a colonoscopy. But I don't enjoy it, but I understand it, but I still don't enjoy it. I mean, look, and now they're going to do 2.0 versus Hook and Action Bronson at the Arthur Ashe show. I don't know how to feel about that. Look, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. DGMC, I appreciate it. He says, I hope Action Bronson uses Bam Bam Bigelow's moves. That's a high expectation you're putting on him, because Bam Bam was, he's athletic. Just saying that. Is he a big Bam Bam Bigelow fan? Let's see. Hey, hang on now. I didn't even get to eat a muffin. But look, this was what it was. AEW All Atlantic title match. Pac successfully defended his title against Kip Sabian. This was okay. Nothing spectacular. I think it was a little underwhelming for a return match for Kip Sabian. I don't know why anyone thought Kip Sabian might be walking out with the title here. I really don't. Probably would have made this match feel a little more significant, but I don't know why you would have stripped Pac of the title at this point, even before we knew everything that was going to happen. No, it just doesn't work for me. It was fine, but that was all. Let's see. And then we had, of course, to wrap up the pre-show, Eddie Kingston defeating Tomohiro Ishii. This fucking ruled. And I thought this was great. Brutal, violent, hard, just great stuff. I liked their Capital Collision match better than this one, but this is kind of like saying which of your two favorite flavors of ice cream do you prefer, kind of thing. This was very good and got the crowd into it, got me into it. This my cup of tea. These guys slapping each other for 2 solid minutes nonstop. Come on now. Who doesn't like that kind of shit? Loved it. And quite frankly, if you enjoyed this match, but you did not see their Capital Collision match, which was in May? Go see the Capital Collision match. It is a match of the year candidate, in your boy's opinion. This was strong. This was very good. This was excellent. The other one is on another level. And Eddie got his win back. Get suspended, get your win back. There you go. Now we move on to the pay-per-view proper, where we have the Casino Ladder match, where a masked demon defeated Claudio Castagnoli, Penta. Excuse me. Was I cursed? Did something curse me when I was about to say Penta's name? That's weird. Claudio Castagnoli, Penta El Zero Miedo, Rey Fenix, Wheeler Yuta, Roosh, Andrade El Idolo, and Dante Martin to get a shot at the AEW World Title. Now, this is where I'm. This is where my criticisms of AEW's All Out 2022 show begin. Because this match was an angle in disguise, is what it was. And I think this was the first sign that you could suck the air out of the room for the audience here. Because no one popped. Everyone was confused. The match just ended. There was no fanfare. There was nothing. And, again, please don't try to explain to me why they did it. I understand why they did it. But if I'm in the live crowd and I see Stokely jumping up there, grabbing the thing, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then you can start applying logic to wrestling logic. For instance, why didn't they go straight off the bat? Why wait? Why tease us with it? And frankly, I didn't think the match was all that great to begin with. I don't think it was. But then again, like I said on my preview show, I'm done with ladder matches in wrestling for a long while. If I don't see a wrestling match for the next 18, not a wrestling match, a ladder match. I want to see more wrestling matches. But if I don't see a ladder match within the next 18 months, I'll be glad. I'll be fine, just happy. But, ladder matches are overdone everywhere and I can't stand. And we're at a point where the guys try new things because they know fucking ladder matches happen all the time and we've seen all the spots before. So they're trying new things. So at some point in the match, right, Claudio is doing this thing. What was it with Andrade, I think? I don't remember. But Claudio was trying to make a structure with the ladder by opening it and, spearing it through another upright ladder. And then commentary was like, oh, yeah, you remember Tinker Toys? I don't remember what they called. But you remember, when we were kids? Yeah, I remember those. And whatever Claudio was trying to do, it just didn't work. And he pushed on it and he shut, like the spot failed. I'm done. I'm done with ladder matches. I need a break. My hope, my resolution, my challenge, it's not a resolution. It's a challenge that I put out to wrestling promotions out there, big, small, short, tall, make me miss ladder matches. I want the next time someone books a ladder match and I'm like, holy shit, it's been a while. Something that'll get me excited instead of me going, another ladder match. And I don't even think it was that great. And the ending was what it was an angle. They did an angle for the finish. That's all. Like, I understand every reason why they did it. And it all came together at the end. I still don't get it. No, I get it, but I still don't like it. That's what I meant. And this won't be the last angle in disguise for the evening, and that's also disconcerting. DGMC left a super chat. Thank you very much, DGMC. Said, would have liked MJF to have struggled a bit to win. But again, I think that defeats I understand what you mean, and thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. But I think that defeats the purpose of doing the angle, of sending Stokely and the boys in, right? The idea was to clean house to make sure that, Stokely could just go up and grab the thing and then walk away. The mastermind, MJF, so on and so forth. We all, what was your moment? Let me know in the comments if you're watching on demand. Let me know in the chat right now if you're watching live. What was your moment that you knew that Demon Man was MJF? I knew when I don't know why, but when he did the no, when he wagged his finger and when he teased taking the mask off, for some reason, I was like, that is the most MJF gesture. I don't know why. I was just like, that screams MJF to me. Sure, and as we're pointing out in the chat as well, sympathy for the devil. We cannot underscore enough how expensive it is to license the Rolling Stones music, okay? We cannot stress this enough. So, to use sympathy for the devil on a live broadcast like that, for what it costs, for what the licensing costs, you cannot just use it on a throwaway mid-carder, right? It's one of your top guys who has it. It's one of your top fellas. So yes, that was a very good one. That was a good tell, if anything. So yeah, anyway. So the first segment happens, sets something up for later on in the evening. Fine, let's keep moving. Because we got the AEW World Trios title tournament finals, where the Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, also known as the Young Bucks, defeated the Dark Order, the Beaver Boys, essentially, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Hangman Adam Page, in what was absolutely my match of the night. Just a fantastic match and a great showing by everyone. Some amazing, amazing stuff throughout this match. And Reynolds, I think, Alex Reynolds, had the match of his AEW tenure so far. He was spot on, perfect. You know, I know a guy like Silver attracts a lot of attention. I know this, but and I think Reynolds sort of is in his shadow sometimes, but in this match here, Reynolds was fantastic. He and Silver played all the hits, and they hit different in this match because they were doing all of their combo work on members of the Elite. And I think that got me excited as a fan of the Dark Order. Silver's awesome hot tag, where he's just peppering everyone inside, outside the ring. Sack of shit moonsault by Page as well. The Young Bucks just sprinkling magic wherever they go. And here's the thing, because I know a lot of people are disappointed, and I can't say I wasn't a little disappointed that the Dark Order and Page didn't pull it off, because it would have capped off a really nice tale of Hangman always being there for the Dark Order, the underdogs, and coming forward and defeating the Elite, and for Page as well. It all kind of ties in. I get all of that. So I was kind of disappointed, despite the fact that the logic behind this booking is absolutely sound. It's the soundest to give it to the Elite. You want your titles that you're just bringing into the world, that you're birthing into the universe. You want your titles to be held by your top people, so that they feel special. But I found everyone was extremely generous here. I thought the Elite guys were extremely generous with the Dark Order dudes. And you wanted to say, here's something that you can mail and send to the bank here. John Silver gets propped up for the one-winged angel, and he rolls through it and rolls up Kenny Omega for the nearest of near falls. I completely bid on that one. I'm pretty sure you did too. And that's a sign. That's a good thing, because you don't fuck around with the one-winged angel all that much. Of course, no one kicks out of it, except Kota Ibushi. But you know what I mean. This was that was a mark to me. That's a mark of respect. So Silver, he's holding Omega up for Page, who winds up the buckshot, but Omega gets out of the way. Page levels Silver instead. Omega covers Silver for the win. Just an outstanding match I love the finish. Thought it was great. Fantastic match of the night for Warren Hayes. Jade Cargill successfully defended her TBS title match against Athena. I wonder if Eric Bischoff gets all out of sorts when the TBS title is defended not on television, but on a pay-per-view. I wonder if his brain continues to melt. Okay. This was all right. This was okay. 4 minutes and 21 seconds, all right? I don't understand Jade's booking anymore. I don't know why we're doing this. I don't know why this was a sub 5 minute match. What are we still covering up on Jade Cargill, who has been improving consistently and was put in a match with someone who should have been perceived as a legitimate threat to her title? Instead, we get a sub 5 minute match. We got a match with Athena, former Ember Moon, former champion. And you're telling me that we're going to smoke and mirror this one? We're going to keep it under 5 minutes because Jade... I don't understand this booking. I don't understand Jade's booking anymore. She goes nearly 8 minutes with Madison Rayne. She goes almost 12 minutes with Marina Shafir. And she goes under 5 minutes with Athena? This is bullshit, is what this is. This is bullshit. This is the third fastest defense for Jade. Third fastest. Let me pull this up here. I did not write down. Let me just pull this up real quick. But this is her... blows my mind. Her fastest defense was against Layla Gray, 1 minute and 55 seconds. Julia Hart, 2 minutes, 28 seconds. And then fucking Athena, 4 minutes, 21 seconds. Makes no sense. None of this makes sense. We're going near 8 minutes with Madison Rayne. We're going near 12 with Marina Shafir. What are we still trying to cover up when it comes to Jade? Because I can promise you one thing, is that 5 minute matches are not going to be a sign, are not going to help Jade improve her work. It's not. Couldn't have been running short on time at that point. Powerhouse Hobbs defeated Ricky Starks. This was a complete miss, booking-wise. Again, this is another angle. This is another angle in disguise. Because, again, I get it, folks. Oh, they probably want to stretch this out a little bit. Oh, you know, they didn't want to do the big blow off here. They're going to continue this feud. Maybe they want to position Hobbs as stronger. First of all, this positioning Hobbs as stronger is bullshit, because what they've been doing is pushing Ricky Starks. This is complete counterintuitive to all the booking we've seen with Ricky Starks so far. Hobbs, it's a big tough guy. I think he's got the look, he's got the charisma. I think you can cool him off and warm him up whenever you want. But Starks is supposed to be hot right now. Starks is the guy that they were sending out at the top of the hours, at the top of the second hour of Dynamite to go cut a promo or have a match because they believe in him, because they trust him. And you know what? He was able to deliver. You know what? He got the quarter hours. And this is what you do, and a 5-minute match on top of that. And a grudge match. And you know what? I think I'm pretty sure I even wrote it down here. I liked how it started because it felt like a grudge match, right? Isn't that what I wrote down? That's what I wrote right here in my notes. That's how you start a grudge match. Starts off furious and angry. No collar elbow, tie-ups, none of that. 5-minute complete miss of a booking opportunity. And anyone who defends this, saying they're going to continue the feud, so on and so forth, I agree with you. But this is why I'm telling you, I felt like I was watching an episode of Dynamite and not a pay-per-view. Because this is perfect on a Wednesday. Perfect stuff to put on a Wednesday. In fact, why didn't they do it before? I like Powerhouse Hobbs. I love Ricky Starks. It's so counterintuitive, I don't know what the deal is. AEW World Tag Team title match, Swerve in Our Glory. Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland successfully retained their titles against the Acclaimed. Now, this fucking ruled. This fucking ruled. And it got me believing, and it got the crowd believing. You know what? It got the crowd hot again. Because you can go back and watch. And this is the absolute God-honest reality. After the trios match, the audience, the energy just started to plummet. And you're not going to sit here and tell me, oh, well, I mean, Warren, there were just so many matches, just so much. Between the trios match and Swerve in Our Glory, there were 3 matches. And the booking, I think I skipped a match. I did skip a match on top of that. I'll get back to it. I did skip a match, though. There were 3 matches that managed to suck the air out of the room, to make the audience flat on their feet. But this match here, Swerve in Our Glory, the Acclaim, got everyone right back into it with goddamn reason. The crowd had been dead. I wouldn't say dead, mid, right up until this point. The live crowd needed this match. And I swear, from the assisted mic drop on the floor moving forward, I was convinced the Acclaimed had it. I was convinced, because that was my call. That's what I had predicted. I was like, they're strapping him. They're absolutely strapping him. And for all the reasons, they were proving myself and Tony Khan right to have put these kids in this position on this pay-per-view. Because I'm convinced this is a situation where Tony Khan with 2 lower mid-card guys who were brought in as prelim acts, just to open the show, the goofballs that take the pins, they were able to work their way into an angle that got them over. And again, as I will continue to say, an angle that is not for me. I don't like the Acclaimed gimmick. I didn't like the ass boys bullshit. I still don't. The scissor meets daddy ass stuff, I'm glad people enjoy it because it's not for me. But once they hit the ring, once they start doing what they're supposed to do, they're electric. And they got everything they did to this point to get themselves over worked. Tony Khan puts them on the pay-per-view, gives them the match, says, this one's for you boys because you guys have done everything I've asked you to do. You've been 100% behind this company. And I can count on you guys. You've delivered every single time. Here you go. Here's your match. And I was like, he's going to strap him. And I thought they had it. Max Caster fucking Fireman Carey slams Keith Lee. The champs they're accidentally hitting each other in this match. What are you going to do? Yes, an audible should have been called. Because this loss, again, brought the crowd down. It brought the crowd down again. If I'm backstage, I'm Tony Khan, I'm watching this, I'm on my headset and I'm telling the ref to tell the champs we're switching the finish. The claim go over. Absolutely. Because the live crowd needed it. The live crowd was so into it that when the proper baby faces win, energy just dropped right down again. Right down again. It's funny because I sit here week after week after week and I have a lot of praise for Tony Khan's booking, saying he understands his live crowds. He knows how to send people home happy. He knows when to deliver the big moments, when to give the crowd a really exciting moment. And I don't think this was, and I think most of All Out is a miss. And this was an absolute miss. Oh, but Warren was the planned finish. Who gives a shit? The thing is that, and it's not even something where he was so cornered creatively that he couldn't come out of it if Swerve and Lee walked away with the title, without the titles. He had even set up in this match discontent between the champs striking each other accidentally. Like he had everything to do very logical, creative follow-ups afterwards and split up the tag team. And you know what? He's running it again at Arthur Ashe. Why do you think he's running it again at Arthur Ashe? Because he realizes he fucked up. Whoop. Let's do this again. We'll run it again, and hopefully the crowd is as hot. Jesus Christ. Like a complete missed opportunity. Let's go back a little bit. I skipped over the trios match between FTR and Wardlow, defeating Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. The story of this match was how great a tag team the Motor City Machine Guns are. You know, we sit here and we talk about how great FTR's tag team offense is, and they are. They're not trying to throw any shade here, you know, but we're all sitting here and we talk about how great FTR are as a team and how, you know, how sound they are. And I agree. I am a big FTR fan. But Sabin and Shelley are on another level, an entirely other level. This was excellent. Excellent tag team work. And this match sort of was a very good Dynamite Trios match. Again, not a bad thing. But is this what I want on my pay-per-views? Maybe not. Glad everyone got some time. Yeah, glad everyone got the shine. If this is setting up FTR versus the Detroit Boys again, down the road or at a Ring of Honor show or what, I'm all for it. Let's go. Do we have to set these angles up on a pay-per-view is the question I'm asking. Wardlow's fine. Everyone's fine. Hey, but the Warden, what? It is not strange, yes, that they put not the Satnam Singh in the ring. Well, is it strange or is he just not ready? Because, you know, keep in mind, Satnam Singh's an attraction. No one is expecting him to, you know, become this incredible game changer as far as, wrestling work rate goes. It's not what he's there for. But clearly, they're easing him in, and there are probably very, very good reasons for that. So, all right, let's move forward again. AEW Interim World Women's Title 4-Way match. We got Toni Storm defeating Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and Jamie Hayter to become the Interim Women's champion. She doesn't become the championship, she becomes the champion. This was a very good match and a great showcase for the top women in the division. And I thought everyone worked really hard. I thought everyone put in their really best effort, I was excited. I thought it was very good. See, and I'm looking at the rating on Cage Match at 6.8. I think that's too low. I think the Cage Match, the Asylum is wrong on this one. It's a much higher match than it's much higher than that. Just fantastic stuff. Is it all women that just like really get along and understand each other's styles and so on and so forth? Look, there's so much still that we don't understand with the whole Thunder Rosa stuff, but this felt like a showcase. This was like all four women going in there and putting in their absolute best to create a really strong wrestling match. Toni Storm, solid choice for the championship. A woman who has been destined to be a star from the minute. If you saw her working the British Indies a few years ago, you're like, there's no way this woman is a star. She is an absolute star. She's not going to stay forever on the Indies. She's destined for great things. So, I think that WWE, she hit a ceiling very, very quickly for multiple weird reasons, even before she was called up to main roster, which of course was an absolute disaster. So hopefully she can usher in something, usher in some confidence on Tony Khan's behalf, so that the women's division gets some proper shine. But when you see Britt and Shida and Hayter, all four of these women in the ring at the same time, this is the stuff that boggles my mind. I'm like, how can it be so hard to book this division when you look at this match and like, these women are fantastic. Jamie Hayter, despite the fact that she did not win the championship, I think was the big winner of this match. Crowd was super into her the entire way through, chanting her name, getting behind her. She looked great. She had this great move where at some point she pulls Toni Storm out of a bridging, a German suplex bridge. She just pulls her out of it and into a tombstone pile driver. I thought that was fantastic. We know Jamie Hayter is good. We know Jamie Hayter is a good pro wrestler. And the audience is into it. This is what I say. This is what I mean when I say that the AEW audience is different from the WWE audience, and whereas you can get over an AEW on your work rate. We expect the work rate to be better. Hayter she showed up and she shined in this match. Christian Cage defeated Jungle Jack Perry as Luchasaurus. I don't know what's going on, because everyone keeps telling me he never turned face. He never attacked Christian Cage. It's been the swerve all along. I've been swerved too much here. I think this story stunk. I didn't like it going into the pay-per-view. I think it was a miss. It was hotter. It got cold. I don't know why they did this whole ambiguously babyface thing with Luchasaurus, because it doesn't come across well. Because everything just feels, thrown together at this point. Now it turns out, the match was a squash because Luchasaurus attacked Jack Perry, which is stupid. And again, a match disguised as an angle. Or an angle disguised as a match is what I should say. Turns out Christian Cage is injured, though. He's hurt. He's going to require some surgery. Apparently, torn triceps is what I've heard, which really sucks. So I understand why they kept the match in the format they did, and I hope Christian Cage gets better soon. I hope he gets back on his feet. Nothing but well wishes, because it really stinks. But overall, like this thing's a disaster. And what started off as such a hot, incredible, like molten hot angle, cooled off so considerably. And now they're probably going to do the thing which I thought they were going to do in the first place, which was Jack Perry is going to have to defeat Luchasaurus to get to Christian Cage. But we don't know how long Christian Cage is going to be out. If it's a torn triceps, could be out for the better part. He probably won't be back before 2023 at this point. Let's see how it goes. Then we had Chris Jericho defeating Bryan Danielson. Are you ready for the hottest of hot takes regarding this match? I'm pretty sure no one else in the world is going to have the same opinion. The same opinion as I have in regards to this match. Are you ready for this? It stunk. It stunk. And it boggles my mind because you have two legends in this ring. You have Chris Jericho, one of the greatest of all time. Bryan Danielson, who I will continue to say is the greatest North American wrestler to ever lace up a pair of boots. Ever. My expectations are high. And I think it was okay to have high expectations for this match. And for some, I don't know what happened, and I'm not going to try and sit here and say, oh, at this point, he looked gassed and, so on and so forth. I don't know what happened. But something happened in this match where not even the fucking genius of Bryan Danielson could save here. Overall, sure, like if we're being level about it, which I'm admittedly not being right now. If we're being level about it, this was fine. It was all right. But I'm grading on a curve here. It stunk. Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho should not have average ass matches. Not in AEW. Absolutely not. And I was hoping for this match to get electric and get me out of my seat and get the audience back into it. It did none of that. And it's a shock to me. Then we had another trios match, Darby Allin, Miro, and Sting defeating the House of Black. This was okay too. Felt a little all over the place, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. I don't have many thoughts on this. I understand why this match was placed here just before the main event and after Danielson and Jericho, because it was meant to be a breather, because Danielson and Jericho clearly had higher expectations for it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put it so high on the card, followed by a mid-card act to lead into the main event. Absolutely not. But this, yeah, again, this was fine and was a little all over the place. And, Malachi Black not feeling it. He took a bow after the match. All reports saying that he's been granted a conditional release. And people are like, what makes a release conditional? And I answer to that, well, it's conditions that make a release conditional. We don't know what it is. And there's been a lot of hints that there's a lot of personal stuff going on. And frankly, it's none of our business. And all I hope is that Malachi Black, Aleister Black, Tommy End, whatever, incarnation he continues to evolve with, I just hope he finds happiness, he finds zen, and health, mental, spiritual, physical, so that he can move on, because he is one of my favorite wrestlers. I just hope, I hope we have the generous opportunity. I hope we have the opportunity to see him wrestle again. I wouldn't want it any other way. Want to say hello to King of the North, Evan, who's joined us, and Jason Major. Nice to see you as well. Welcome. And finally, the main event, where CM Punk defeated Jon Moxley to become the AEW World Champion, at least for a couple of days. Just an excellent. Okay, I'm removing all context of the post pay-per-view scrum here. Just an excellent match between two world-class wrestlers. Absolutely fantastic. Right up my alley. Just some, making every move matter, making it significant. When people talk about psychology in wrestling, this is what we got here. We got a story. We got two guys playing the human game of chess, as once Garden Soley would tell us back in the day. And, Punk, of course, his Achilles heel being the foot, and Moxley was going for it for the majority of the match, but of course, it became a war of attrition. After a first GTS where Punk knocked out Moxley and Moxley fell on top of him, and I was what a fantastic visual, just absolutely extraordinary. Punk then later hits another GTS after that for the win. And then MJF comes out, reveals himself as the chip winner. They do the whole thing with the voicemail. I don't know why people thought that the voicemail was a real thing. I'm hoping viewers, listeners of the Mr. Warren Hayes show, I consider all of you to be a cut above the rest. I consider you to be top tier, intelligent people. I'm assuming that you thought I'm assuming you all thought the voicemail was entertaining, was a nice little wink to what was going on, but hopefully you didn't think it was real, like a surprising number of people, and some that I call my peers as well. Just fantastic stuff. And of course he removes his mask. I thought it was great. He removes the mask, but then puts on the scarf. Everyone loses their shit. And that was the pay-per-view. That was essentially how it goes. That's essentially how it went. Again, like I said, this is by far my least favorite AEW pay-per-view to this day. I think it had a fantastic. I think it had a fantastic. It was a fantastic episode of Dynamite. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the show, but I think it's okay to have high expectations, especially on a quarterly pay-per-view when everyone is complaining that there's too many matches and blah, blah, blah. I think it's fine. That doesn't bother me, but I think it could have been a notch above. I still think the pay-per-view is going to be successful. I told y'all last week at the prediction show, and I think I even mentioned it here, I still think it's going to be successful. Tony Khan at the Scrum said that he was expecting it to do Double or Nothing numbers. Well, Double or Nothing drew 155,000 buys. And if he was expecting, and I don't think he was, no one was expecting All Out this year to do All Out 2021 numbers. That was unrealistic. No one was expecting that because last year was CM Punk's first wrestling match back in 7 years. So of course, that's not going to happen. We're not going to get, what was it, 210,000 buys, something like that. So he said 155. I think that's where because I think I ballparked it around there, 152, 154, 5. Is that, my high prediction is 165, low is 145, I think I said. So I'm right in there. I think it's still going to be very successful for them. But overall, I think this one was a slip. And there was too much on the show to just grind your gears at, I found. And then the real show began once we were done with the pay-per-view. And we had the Scrum. I don't even know if I have to break down everything. Because or maybe, I don't want to assume that everyone listening to the show knows exactly what we're talking about, but, the pay-per-view afterwards, there's always a scrum. Tony Khan sets up let's call it a press conference, because a scrum is something else. And he sets up a press conference and you have members of the media asking questions, and they're usually lighthearted affairs. Tony hugs, his newest signee, and they talk about the wrestlers, how everything is fantastic, and But this time there was something else, because after I'm going to read here off of the Figure 4 Online here, the article about the main event of the Scrum, that CM Punk goes off on Colt Cabana, AEW EVPs, and Hangman Page at the All Out Media Scrum. After winning the AEW World Championship in the main event of All Out, CM Punk continued to make headlines at the post-show media scrum. There was a moment near the start of the scrum where Punk questioned if one of the reporters, which is Nick Hausman of Wrestling Inc., if the reporter was friends with Colt Cabana. That led to Punk addressing his issues with Cabana, Hangman Page, and quote-unquote irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs. Here is the transcription, again, as provided by Figure 4 Online. I haven't had anything to do with Scott Colton, which is Colt Cabana's shoot name, in almost a decade. Probably wanted nothing to do with him even longer than that. It's fucking unfortunate that I have to come up here and speak on this when I'm on my time and this is a fucking business. While I'm a grown-ass adult man and I decide not to be friends with somebody else is nobody else's fucking business. But my friends, if I fall backwards, will catch me. Scott Colton, I felt, would never have. My problem was I wanted to bring a guy with me to the top that did not want to see me at the top, okay? You can call it jealousy, you can call it envy, whatever the fuck it is. My relationship with Scott Colton ended long before I paid all of his bills. I have every receipt. I have every invoice. I have every email. I have the email where he says, and I quote, "I agree to go our separate ways. I will get my own lawyer and you do not have to pay any more." That's an email I have. And the only reason this public did not see is because when I finally had to countersue him, though through discovery, we discovered he shared a bank account with his mother. That's a fact. And as soon as we discovered that fact and we subpoenaed old Marcia, he sent the email, "Oh, can we please drop all of this?" Now it's 2022. I haven't been friends with this guy since at least 2014, late 2013. The fact I have to sit up here because we have irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs and couldn't fucking manage a target, and they spread lies and bullshit and put into the media that I got somebody fired when I have fuck all to do with them, want nothing to do with him, do not care where he works, where he doesn't work, where he eats, where he sleeps. And the fact that I have to get up here and do this in 2022 is fucking embarrassing. And if y'all are at fault, fuck you. If you're not, I apologize. Whatever did I do in this world to deserve an empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself? For what? What did I do? What did I ever do? Didn't do a goddamn thing. It's not Tony Khan's position to make to make it fucking clear that Punk didn't have anything to do with Cabana being moved to Ring of Honor. There's people who call themselves EVPs that should have fucking known better. That shit was none of their business. I understand sticking up for your fucking friends. I fucking get it. I stuck up for that guy more than anybody, okay? I paid his bills until I didn't, and it was my decision not to. I'm trying to run a fucking business. And when somebody who hasn't done a damn thing in this business jeopardizes the first $1 million house that this company has ever drawn off my back and goes on national television and does that, it's a disgrace to this industry. It's a disgrace to this company. Now we're far beyond apologies. I gave him a fucking chance. It did not get handled, and you saw what I had to do, which was very regrettable, lowering myself to his fucking level. But that's where we're at right now. And I will still walk up and down this hallway and say, if you have a fucking problem with me, take it up with me. Let's fucking go. Now, he was furious when he was doing this. Absolutely furious. Now, the thing that we're going to get out of the way straight off the bat here, because a lot of people, I saw some people, asking me, Warren, what are your thoughts on CM Punk and the whole thing? If I were Tony Khan, I'd fire the guy. Because that was unacceptable on every level. Absolutely unacceptable on any level to do that. You don't go out there. Because here's the thing. Here is the crucial part that we cannot forget in this story. And it seems petty, seems insignificant, but this is what we have to remember. This is what we have to keep in mind, is that no one asked CM Punk, no one asked Phil any questions about Colt Cabana. He was fired up, decided that he was going to go for it, sat down, and he used Nick Hausman, who is a Chicago native, who has done improv, and who has done improv with Colt Cabana, because everyone in Chicago does improv. But he has done improv with Colt Cabana. So he used Nick Hausman as his in to get to his point, to his spiel. Nick, you still do improv? You still do improv with Scott Colton? Are you still friends with him? Hausman says no. Hausman says, not since for a while we don't see eye to eye anymore. And what does CM Punk say? You know what he says? He says, well, that makes two of us. You blew my spot, but here we go. He said, you blew my spot. And he still leads into it. So he was literally trying to get Nick Hausman to say, Yeah, we're still friends. Oh yeah, well, this is your friend here, Colt Cabana. This is what he does to me. As if it was Nick Hossman's fault. But no, Phil came to this table, went to the post-show, the Scrum, completely intent on burying Colt Cabana and the people who he thinks leaked this to the media. And it just so happens that the people that who he thinks leaked it, are the Young Bucks. He didn't say it outright, but he says it when you have to protect your friends. You get it? Colt Cabana and the Young Bucks are friends. So this is how he sees it. And then he trashes them, trashes the company. And this is something that I don't understand. This is something that I do not understand. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? He's sitting there going off on Hangman Adam Page going into business with himself. Here, let's take a minute here. Let's recap. And I appreciate all the super chats, by the way, everyone. 5-star General, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. I appreciate all the super chats. I promise I will get to them. Let's just step back a second here. When did Hangman Adam Page do the line where he says he went into business? Do you know? Do we all remember what that line was? First and foremost, the thing that we're talking about here, the thing that got him so fired up, is when when Hangman Page went to the ring and did that line on workers' rights in the build-up to Revolution, right? This is the line that most of us sat there confused, our arms crossed, going, I don't quite understand what he's talking about. And it didn't do anything, didn't ruin anything, didn't destroy anyone's reputation, didn't bring down the fourth wall, and certainly did not do it as did not ruin the first $1 million gate or 100. What did he call us? 100. Look, didn't ruin the main event for Revolution either. So I'm listening to all of this. I'm going, you hypocritical, two-faced son of a bitch. Because he's saying, look at where I am here. I'm debasing myself. I have to lower myself to his level. I wish I didn't have to do this, but you don't have to do this. He's saying this as if he doesn't have a choice, but he did have a choice. He chose to do this on a night where he has chosen to bury the next money angle that the company has, which was, and I'm using past tense, CM Punk MJF 3. What do you think Tony Khan was betting on for the main event at Arthur Ashe? There was no bigger match, and there still is no bigger match in AEW right now than CM Punk and MJF. That's your money match. That's your draw. There's still 5,000 seats open at Arthur Ashe for the show in 2 weeks. If that was announced as your main event, we're good. We're selling out. Those tickets disappear. It's a match everyone wants to see. You want to talk about killing a gate? You want to talk about taking down an angle, taking down a wrestler who just came back? Because let's not forget, look, hey, listen to this. We're not done. Punk was asked if he had a message, whether or not he was looking forward to facing MJF, right? Quote, I don't know. I'm tired of wrestling these pricks. I'm tired of wrestling these kids that think they know everything, but I'm not the boss. He won a #1 contendership, and I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. What are we even doing? I think Max is a supremely talented individual, but this goes for him and anyone in the locker room who doesn't want to be here. The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it, and Max likes to shit where he eats instead of watering the grass. So we'll see. We'll have to see how that goes. What the fuck? So we have Hangman Adam Page in the month of January, February this year. When was Revolution, right? Revolution's in February, right? Or was it the Double or Nothing? I think it was for Revolution. Or was it Double or Nothing? I don't remember which pay-per-view. I apologize. But in the lead up to it, you have Adam Page come out and go like, well, here we go, and this is the thing, and workers' rights. And something that everyone on planet Earth had forgotten about, except for the real, news munchers who hang on to stuff and are like, this is weird. This is going to come back. And it did come back. That's right. He defended against Call It Revolution. Thank you, Jason. It did come back. Paige couldn't let it go. Paige couldn't let it go. No one else was sitting around going, gee, wow, I wonder what happened. I wonder what that weird line was about. No one was thinking about it, but Phil left that festering. It was a slight towards him, and he had to bring it back. He's the guy who brought it back a couple of weeks ago when he returns from injury, and this is the first piece of business he goes into. And then he gets a challenger. Here's a guy saying, I'm running a business. If you're running a business, Phil, you absolutely realize that your top match right now, the match that everyone wants to see and that will pay money for and that will continue to feed the perception that you have, that you are the big draw, that you're the money, you're the ratings, you're the nickels and dimes. The match that you're going to have with MJF is going to draw. But you just sabotaged it. The gall this man has to sit there and say Paige went into business for himself. He almost ruined the show. You ruined a main event, Phil. MJF returns legitimately. The biggest thing to happen that weekend, up until that point, the biggest thing that happened that weekend was karaoke night in Cardiff. Now we have MJF returning. Huge news. And you bury the guy. You don't give him the light of day. You take over the news cycle. No one is talking about how great the fact that MJF is back. Not at least not until last night's Dynamite. And then there's a fight backstage. And this is where everything just comes apart. An altercation, again, from the Figure 4 website. An altercation that was described as a melee broke out between the Young Bucks and CM Punk following Punk's comments at the All Out media scrum on Monday morning. Brad Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Radio reported multiple sources saying there was an altercation between the two parties after Punk gave comments during the media scrum. A security guard was seen running out of the scrum shortly after Punk left. Tony Khan was not informed of the situation until after the scrum was wrapped up. And as of 1:41 a.m. Central Time Monday, everyone was still in the building. It's Dave Meltzer that described the situation as the melee. What we've learned since this breaking news was that a whole bunch of people were involved here. And we have a couple of versions of what happened. We have the version that was quickly put out, that the Elite stormed CM Punk's locker room, went straight for him, and they started throwing fists. Ace Steel, who was there, of course, mystery man Ace Steel was there, threw a chair at Nick Jackson that hit him straight in the eye, bit Kenny Omega. Just some wild stuff that happened. We have all sorts of reporting that happened, right? Now, here's what we know. This is what has been reported. This is what we know. Everyone that was involved in this fight is at bare minimum suspended. CM Punk, Ace Steel, the Jacksons, Kenny Omega, they've all suspended. Then we started hearing about other people. Michael Nakazawa, Christopher Daniels, Pat Buck. I'm forgetting someone. Nakazawa. I think that's pretty much it. That covers everyone, right? Brandon Cutler. They were all involved in some way or another in this situation here. And they like I said, by minimum, at the very basic, strict minimum, they've all been suspended. Why have they been suspended? Because AEW is conducting an investigation through a third party. There's a lot of sides that have come out here, some which are a little laughable, but at least, one of the cool things that I find in this situation here is that everyone who's been reporting on this and reporting sides of the story has been outright saying, these are things that we are hearing from the Punk side. These are things from the Elite side. So you can parse this whichever way you want, right? But the idea here, how it all came about, was that CM Punk was just in his locker room and the Bucks kicked the door down and they started fighting. Sean Ross Sapp reported that sources close to the Elite say that the Bucks went there to talk to Punk, just like he said in the scrum. If anyone has a problem with me, my door is open, come find me. And apparently CM Punk started throwing fists. Now, take that for what it's worth. He apparently started throwing fists at Matt. Nick tried to break it up. Ace Steel threw the chair. All right. Kenny Omega, and this is a great meme, not gonna lie. Kenny Omega apparently saved Larry the dog, CM Punk's dog, while everyone was fighting. Kenny went in, grabbed the dog to take it out of the room. And Ace Steel bit Kenny Omega. Dave Meltzer then added a few notes here. He said Punk's media scrum rant was intentional and practiced beforehand. And I have no doubt that this was intentional. This was premeditated for some bizarre reason. Dave notes Punk talking about Hangman Adam Page not doing anything in the business is false. Says the pay-per-view headline by Adam Page drew more than some of the ones Punk did. He said Page has been a key guy in building the company. And I think you have to be blind to not see that. Dave says Punk has been a divisive figure and rubbing people the wrong way in the locker room for a long time, telling guys to not do stuff that got them over and successful in the first place, preaching old business philosophies. And this is all coming from stuff that Dave was talking about on Observer Radio. And in the full context of this, because I listened, I took the time to listen to this. I've been trying to listen and absorb as much of this content as possible, and I hope I'm delivering the best possible picture here for everyone, and hopefully supporting my opinions the best way possible as well, which is always the target, right? If I'm pontificating here, I at least want to be able to support what I'm saying. When Dave was talking about this, about the old business practices and so on and so forth, he himself admitted it's like in the 90s, in the late 90s and the 2000s. He says, I'm talking with Chris Jericho, and we're like, look, these kids, they're not doing things the way we used to do them, but it's getting them over. So the business is changing. What does Chris Jericho do? He changes his way to stay over in the business. And even Dave Meltzer is like, look, there's stuff that, if I were still in the 1980s, seeing what some of the kids are doing today, I'd lose my shit. You'll never get over. You'll never be successful. You'll never draw a dime. And yet here they are being successful in drawing. So the point being here is that the point that Dave was delivering here was that CM Punk is saying, you should listen to me because, I'm successful. This is how we used to do it in the day. Try and do it this way, to people who are successful right now in what they're doing, which is complete nonsense. Why would you listen to that? Why would you let someone come up to you and say, hey, that really successful thing you're doing right now? That's not right. That's not how you get over in the business. That's not how you draw money. Dave adds that Tony Khan should have stopped Punk when he started burying his guys. Says the Bucks have done way more for the business providing jobs than Punk ever did. Now, we can sit here and argue up and down and all around in regards to whether or not the Young Bucks are a good tag team, a great tag team, one of the greatest of all time. Are they better than the Usos or not? We can have all the arguments we want on that level, right? But Meltzer makes a point here that is invariable, that is verifiable, that is undeniable. That the Young Bucks have created opportunities for wrestlers to wrestle. They had a hand in creating a place, national television, where wrestlers could make really good money. Another place where they could probably be more creatively fulfilled. That they don't feel like they're under the thumb of one septuagenarian, 70-year-old guy. Right? They created the place so that CM Punk could come back. And this is what he does? I want to ask you very sincerely. Now look, the legend, the myth, the icon that is CM Punk versus what I'm going to say is two entirely different things. What has CM Punk done for the business of pro wrestling? And I'm not talking about for himself, for the companies he worked with. I am asking you, what has he done to make the business a better place? You have Bryan Danielson, who leaves WWE, and when he's on his au revoir tour, What is he saying? He's saying, you know what? My target is to leave the business in a better place than when I entered it. And I've heard so many things about Danielson backstage at AEW and how he works with people and how he's always open for advice. And he's not making a show out of it, but he's giving advice, and he's giving unsolicited advice. He's giving, he's going to people and being rough with them. Like, good fatherly love type of, this, you should try to do this instead of that. Try staying off of social media and work on this instead, that kind of stuff. Danielson is actively making the locker room better. Who had a prominent spot on Dynamite last night? Bryan Danielson. Who had a prominent spot? Chris Jericho. Jon Moxley. Because these are the guys who are stepping up. These are the guys who are like, we want, Mox said it in his promo last night. Want to leave the dark ages of wrestling behind us. We want to try to do it the new way. Try something new. Seems like Phil's a little counterintuitive right now. If anyone is surprised at this, I'd say you're new here. and not in a disrespectful way. Because, look, I'm pretty sure if you go back in time to when CM Punk returned, I was excited. Look, I still have the, right there. For those of you who are watching the video right now, right there. I framed the wrapper of the ice cream bar that was given out on the show he came back at the United Center, that Rampage, a little over a year ago now. I went there because I wanted to be part of that moment. Wrestling history. CM Punk returning. It's a big deal. Don't get me wrong. And I was excited. I was like, you know what? 7 years can change a guy. 7 years can change someone, change your outlook. You're the patron saint. Like was it the patron saint of the anti-WWE sentiment, right? You don't have to scrounge and jockey for positioning all the time. You're CM Punk. You know what I mean? And yet, despite my optimism, the optimism of thousands of fans, he's reverting back exactly to who he is, to who we've always known him as. Being petty, holding these insane grudges, not being able to look past the mirror, lacking self-awareness, and overall being toxic in the locker room. I'm not trying to, I think this idea of trying to find blame in the kerfuffle with the elite is silly. Something's going to come out of here, and that'll be the end of that. Whatever happened, happened. Everyone had a part to play in this. Everyone had a part to play in this 3-act shit film that we're watching right now. But the thing we need to point out here, the thing that we need to focus in here is just realize that the one denominator in everything that's causing woes in AEW right now is Phil. He's creating a toxic environment. And I think it was Sean Ross Sapp who tweeted it out. And I have to concur here. how, I'm going to paraphrase it, of course, what he tweeted, and I'm adapting it to, but you have to be all kinds of, how deeply entrenched into your own ego you have to sit there and not be able to find any common ground with people you work with to continue making gobs of money. Because we're not just talking about a $150 a week paycheck. We're talking gobs of money. Why isn't everyone just pulling their head out of their ass, saying, you know what, I don't like you, but let's be professional, let's make money together. How it reaches this level is beyond me. But at the same time, it is consistent with Phil. We've seen it before in Ring of Honor, in WWE, and now here. Nick Nutter and Ray Death Ray, good to see you both. Welcome. So when I said, what would I do? I'd fire his ass. I'd can him. I would absolutely tell him to hit the bricks. Because I really think AEW is fine with or without him. I really do. In fact, next week's rating is going to be very, very telling. Next week's Dynamite rating. Because again, Dynamite hit like 1 million or something, right? Of course, everyone's curious. You know, there's this wave of curiosity. That's fine. Next week's rating will be very telling. If they score big next week without CM Phil, gonna tell you. Be fine to let him go. But Warren, what if Triple H calls him to bring him in? I'd be like, let him be Paul's problem. Let him be Paul's problem. And I promise you, there is more than enough people still employed by WWE in the office and in the locker room that remember how he is. And he will not be accepted. He will not be welcomed with arms wide open. And yeah, it's kind of making a lot of sense as to why our boy Cody Rhodes got a little frustrated. I don't want to put on the tinfoil hat all that deeply. But there's a couple of things you can start connecting here. There's a couple of things that, you know, maybe Cody Rhodes was like, man, this isn't the place I wanted. This doesn't look like the place it's not the place that it used to be. And guess where Cody is now? Because I've seen people say, oh, Phil would never go back. Look, I'll tell you one thing. I think he is petty enough to do it. He's petty enough to call Hunter and say, you want to do some business? And you know what? Hunter is petty enough to go, yeah, let's fucking go. It's sad, man. But I really think Tony Khan, here's one thing I don't understand. Hey, Suprit, nice to see you. Welcome. Here's something I really don't understand. Tony Khan letting him just go off like that and shutting down while CM Punk was just firing at the EVPs, other wrestlers. If I'm Tony Khan, I'm like, you know what? Let's move on. Thank you, Phil. You can head to the back. Let's bring out Swerve and Keith Lee. That's what I'm doing. Complete mismanagement of this situation. I'll even go one further. Why the hell did not a single PR person come in to break this up? PR communications is what I do for a living in my day job. I promise you there were PR people there. And I promise you that in these types of situations, it is entirely okay and foreseeable and actually planned for a PR person to step in and say, thank you very much, let's move on. And if the CEO is not going to do it. Because what this gives, the impression this gives, is that Tony Khan, by not reacting, by not shutting it down, by not counter-arguing, is endorsing and if I'm Kenny Omega, Nick Jackson, and Matt Jackson, I'm mad as hell. Why didn't you stick up for us? Aren't we business partners? Aren't we in here? Weren't we here day one? Why are you letting this guy do this? This nonsensical rant that has nothing to do with the pay-per-view, that is burying everything that we're trying to set up for a big pay-per-view, for a big match in 2 weeks. Of course, I'm fucking mad as hell. Utter mismanagement. I've seen all the comparisons. Oh, you've seen that in real sports too, Warren. Yeah, you've seen it in UFC. But you always have someone coming in at some point to say, thank you very much. And now we are going to move on to another question. And like, who the fuck is she? Who the fuck is he? Doesn't matter. That's what your PR does. Because let's just have a little fun here. Let's say CM Punk had been interrupted and he had stopped at the Colt Cabana stuff. If someone would come in, okay, we're good, thank you very much. Or if Tony was like, okay, hit the brakes, hit the showers, Phil, thank you for coming. Congratulations, champ. We'll see you Wednesday, kind of thing, you know? If you had done that, and we wouldn't have got the EVP stuff. We wouldn't have got the, shitting on MJF and the new guys who don't want to learn and so on and so forth. That's all that would have happened. Now the question is, of course, moving forward, are they getting? Is anyone getting fired? Right. That's the question, right? Is anyone getting fired? And look, I'd love to tell y'all, I don't think the elite are getting fired. I'd love to say that. But in this year, we're all ready. Cody Rhodes decided to pack it up and leave. I am not sitting here saying, oh, well, Tony's going to do the right thing and he's going to fire CM Punk and, keep Omega and the Bucks. I am not saying a goddamn thing. And as Alexa Bliss once told us, let's let this play out because look, unless you're talking to someone who has deep insider information and who is aware of all of the comings and goings right now, unless you're one of those, anyone who is telling you, sitting back and saying, I predict that this is going to happen, is full of shit. And is throwing shit at the wall. No one can safely say this is what's going to happen. Not after the year that we've just had. Because wrestling's back, baby. It's back in all its absurdity and weirdness, and I love it. The Nick Nutter is here with us. Nice to see you and welcome to the chat. God. There's so much. There's still so much. I am absolutely going Broadway on this. I don't know on what yet. Because there's tons. There's still tons of stuff to talk about. And look, maybe I'll do a proper Dynamite review because I really like doing the Dynamite reviews. And maybe I'll do one proper and put that out there for everyone. Because I also want to talk about Clash at the Castle Clash. But we can't talk about the Scrum and not talk about last night's Dynamite. We just can't. We can't talk about where we're at right now without talking about last night's Dynamite, right? And my distinct feeling, and look, you guys, look, I make no bones about it. I say it often. Dynamite is my favorite wrestling show, my favorite weekly wrestling show. I think it delivers week after week, and it delivered last night again. We had an hour of extraordinary professional wrestling once again on a Wednesday night, and we had a full hour of it with Danielson and Page, who are unable to have an average match with each other. Every time these guys fight, it's magic. Fantastic stuff. And then in the main event, Daniel Garcia becoming pure champion, defeating Wheeler Yuta in his hometown. What do you want? It's just fantastic stuff. But the way things started, the way the show was structured, this was excellent. It was excellent, excellent, excellent stuff. And, it had to be a sign of, it had to be under a sign of positivity. Right? I know there's a lot of people who were shocked and dismayed that Tony Khan did not address the situation, right? But I want to ask you, what would have been the best course? And chat, please feel free to drop your opinions. What would have been the best course for Tony Khan in this situation here to pop on his weekly wrestling show and do here? Address everything from top to bottom. Give a detailed explanation as to why we're stripping the trios champs and why we're stripping the world champion and talking about suspensions. Because yes, it's weird. No mention of CM Punk. No mention of the Elite. They were even taken out of the Dynamite intro. Like nothing. People referencing their matches from All Out without mentioning Kenny Omega, the Jacksons, Punk. Of course, it's weird. But you have a choice here. As a broadcaster, as someone providing your television program, it's like, what is the first thing you have to do? You have to provide an entertaining 2 hours of programming. That's what you have to do. Now, I feel, because it's been hinted at, it's been talked about, there was the term lawsuit being thrown around during the melee at the line of scrimmage. They're talking about lawsuits and so on and so forth. So that's not an insignificant threat. If you have that kind of stuff being tossed around, you want to be real fucking careful what your next move is going to be. If you are currently conducting an investigation to have a clear head, a clear direction on what your next approach should be, you have to be very careful about what you talk about, what you say. Tony Khan was reading off of a teleprompter last night. They didn't just toss him into the wind. He was reading off of a prompter. You could tell. What do? Do you sit down and you say, CM Punk is fired and the Bucks are going to be suspended for 6 months? And what do you think happens then for the people watching at home, for the live crowd? Psst. Just lets the air out. Worse, everyone goes on Twitter and that's all anyone talks about for the rest of the evening. We're never going to talk about, never going to have the chance to properly speak on CM Punk, not CM Punk, but Danielson and Page. And we're not going to talk about Daniel Garcia. It's all going to be lost in this. Tony Khan tonight announced that CM Punk has been fired. I think this was handled in the best possible way. Tony Khan sitting down, being very matter of fact, we have to strip the people. Sure, it's strange we don't understand why. But we got to refocus, and we refocused quickly. Because the next thing you do is you send out MJF to do a rah-rah speech, to accept the cheers from the fans that were excited to see him, but then flip it right back into being a shit heel son of a bitch. As the heart and soul of not only AEW, of professional wrestling in 2022. Jon Moxley coming out after calling Renee and saying, baby, we're going to have to postpone the vacation. I'm sorry, but I got to do this. Comes out to do some business. I think it fucking rules. Jon Moxley rules. And a lot of people are sitting around going, there you go, they're putting the company, Jon Moxley taking the company on his back again. Not true, not false, not entirely the truth though, because they put the company on the back of two guys last night on Dynamite. MJF and Punk and Moxley. Setting up a match for Arthur Ashe, I'm convinced. But they're dropping the company on the back of those two guys. Two guys which Tony Khan probably sat down with and said, you guys have got to bring not your A game, you have to bring your S tier game. It's your S tier game that we need. And what did those two marvels, these two geniuses of pro wrestling, what did they do last night on Dynamite? Conducted pristine promos to get everyone excited, to get everyone hyped, to be like, yes, addressing it. There's a dark cloud right now, but we're ready to move on. Jon Moxley himself in the promo says something to the effect of, we started this company because we wanted to do differently. We wanted to leave the past, the old ways of doing business behind us. And here we are. It's not all on John. It's not all on Max. But there's your tentpole. And this is what we have to keep an eye on. This is what we have to see if business-wise this makes sense. Because the one thing we didn't mention is that CM Punk is injured. Rumors say he might be out for another 8 months. So of course it's not a good idea to fire someone when they're injured. But let's say Tony agrees to pay him the rest of his salary until the injury's done. And then we'll see. The point being here, Tony wants to see if I can put the company on the backs of these two guys here. Are we gonna do good? Can we do CM Punk type business without CM Punk? Don't worry. Don't overthink what's going on here. This is what we're going to be observing very, very carefully, very, very closely over the next couple of, because I promise you, if AEW starts hitting the million on the reg ratings wise over the next few weeks without CM Punk, that's not good news for Phil. this is where we're at right now. And this is what's fascinating. This is what's really, really interesting. Not just laying it all on one guy. And you can tell it's going to be a team effort. And you can feel where Tony wants to go with this. And even last week, before we got out the whole mess, and in my predictions, I said, I hope that the Dynamite after All Out feels like a reset, right? I saw the term soft reboot, right? Even before we got the whole mess, I was like, because I felt like since June, AEW's been scattered all over the place. They've been trying to do the best they could, trying to assemble as many, trying to put together angles and stories, and it's been a little messy. Not on everything, but a little messy. Promotion's been, cursed to a degree with injuries and backtracking and so on and so forth since before Forbidden Door, since June. I'm like, hopefully we're going to get this reset this week. And we got the reset. But in this context, of course, it's a wild time for me. This is a wild time. It's going to be super exciting. But I think last night's Dynamite was the best possible reaction you could have. And I know there's a lot of people who are dismayed at the fact that Tony Khan hasn't made a statement, that there hasn't been an official statement put out by the company, because nowadays, if an organization, a company, so on and so forth, doesn't react within, 2 hours following an event, then place falls apart and they're handling this poorly. What kind of bullshit is this? How come they haven't reacted yet? So on and so forth. You don't have to react, especially in this kind of situation. Don't react. Take your time. Ponder. Sleep on shit. Bring all the necessary information to make an educated decision instead of reacting. Because then you react and then people go, well, wasn't that a little harsh? I think this is the best possible course, especially if people were talking about lawsuits. And here's another thing. We don't know just how entwined CM Punk was in these contract renewals, right? How meaningful his presence is in these contract renewals for TBS TNT, for Warner Discovery, essentially. He might be a strong part of what they need to do moving forward. Maybe the next deals are dependent on whether or not CM Punk is that. We don't know this shit. We don't know anything. And it wouldn't be impossible to think that. But I thought last night's Dynamite answered everything. Not answered everything, but did the best with everything that they had in their in the situation. Couldn't have done anything better. I don't know what people were expecting, really. Because even if you had decided to fire him, do you start your program saying, we fired CM Punk? And people saying this is not what Vince is going to... You know what Vince would do? Vince would have his commentary team say, so-and-so completely disappointed the AEW Galaxy, whatever. Sometimes you just can't win, Sometimes you just can't win. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Warren is going to put out a shitload of content for the next couple of days. Maybe not a shitload. A little more content. I'm going to do a proper AEW Dynamite review standalone. I'm going to do that because I think there's a lot of stuff to go through. For the members, we're going to talk about Worlds Collide. We're going to talk about Braun Strowman returning. Maybe a little New Japan news on top of that. That's what we're going to be covering. How about that? Does that make sense? Is that good? Because I want to wrap this up talking about Clash at the Castle that happened this weekend as well at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. I thought this is sort of becoming the pattern I find of WWE shows recently. PLEs, right? I find that there's a couple of outstanding matches. Everything else is pretty damn flat. You know, there's a couple of things that you hone in on, and then everything else is, it happens kind of thing. That is my paintbrush analysis of Clash at the Castle. But let's dig into it a little more. Let's get into that a little more. We had the pre-show, which was Madcap Moss and the Street Profits defeating the Alpha Academy and Austin Theory. I cannot tell you how little I was bothered to make it on time to watch that match. Let's move on. We had Damage Control coming off of their big loss in the WWE Women's Tag Team Tournament Finals, defeating Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Bianca Belair. I thought this was okay. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun match. I think it might have under-delivered in regards to other recent women's multi-women matches that the women's division has been putting on. They've been extremely strong. I find this was, again, not terrible by any sense of the imagination and definitely not boring. I thought it was fun. It was fun, but maybe a little under my expectation. I think maybe this could have benefited from Dakota Kai and Io Sky coming out with tag team gold and making them look like the powerhouse faction that they're being made out to be, as opposed to losing the finals, which still doesn't make sense. And now they're running the match next week, next SmackDown, next Raw, whatever. They're running Raquel and Aaliyah are going to be putting their titles on the line against Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Now, someone has to convince me why this Triple H booking is so great. Because honestly, it's a lot like the old man's. This is a lot like Vince. Pulling the swerve. And then a couple of weeks later, we'll just run it again. This is not good. Guys, gals, non-binary pals. I promise you. This is shit. Proper. You can't defend that to me. You can't come and... See, this is the thing. And it's what I've been telling you guys. The Triple H era... The improvements have all been superficial, cosmetic. It's all been coats of paint. The house is still the same. The walls are still the same. The floorboards are still the same. Everything is identical. But people are going nuts because they can use the term wrestling again. Because commentary said hospital. New era, let's go. LFG, Triple H. And yet, we're getting the same shitty booking. I watched Raw on Monday. And I thought it was, as much as I didn't like the last Raw 2 weeks ago, where Raquel and Aaliyah mystifyingly won, last Monday's show wasn't very good either. We're kind of back to where we were. Where's Johnny Gargano? What are we doing? We're pulling people out of our ass, and don't get me started on Braun Strowman. Anyway, Damage Control win here. It's fine. Now, Intercontinental title match. Walter defeated Sheamus. This is unquestionably, without any, there's no debate, best match on the card, match of the night, one of the matches of the weekend. If anyone wants to put this on their match of the year lists, you're more than welcome. You have my blessing. No, this was absolutely fantastic. This was fantastic, where they let Walter do what he does best against Sheamus, who was doing what he does best. And they just kicked the shit out of each other for what, like 20 minutes? But brilliant stuff. A fight. You know, when WWE promises you a fight, you're like, yeah, sure. But they promised us a fight here, and we got a fight. Jesus Christ. That was outstanding. I was popping out of my chair at the end. Great stuff. Would highly recommend. If you have the Peacock and you haven't seen this match, you drop everything, you go watch it. Top tier stuff. And look who it is again, coming in with these 5-star matches for WWE, fucking Walter again. Every year, every fucking year, Walter is the one guy in WWE who consistently delivers a 5-star match on the year. Every year. Every year. Ilya Dragunov last year? The year before, Tyler Bate? Or was it Ilya Walter, their first one? I don't remember. That's all. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Liv Morgan defeated Shayna Baszler to retain the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. As I predicted. When they set this up. This is, Shayna Baszler is the Ronda Rousey surrogate here. The stand-in, if you like. To allow Liv Morgan to convince us that Liv Morgan can take down a shooter like Shayna Baszler. If she can take down, so Ronda, whose thing is that she's a shooter as well, if she can take her down, we're all good. But this was very flat. This was a very, very, very flat match. I wish Liv had stronger basics, more fundamentals, instead of always hitting the ropes, springboarding, jumping. I think that if she had some kicks, if she could throw punches, and I know the idea is that she's small, she's diminutive, she's an underdog, but you can't have a champion underdog story. Like, at some point that doesn't work. You can be a champion to get to the title, but then when you're holding the title, you can't always be, oh, will she overcome? Because you know what's happening. What's the next pay-per-view? Extreme Rules? Look, maybe not at Extreme Rules, maybe at Survivor Series, who the fuck cares? The next match that she has is going to be against Ronda Rousey, who will no longer be suspended, right? And then she's going to attack, and they're going to have their match, and Liv Morgan is going to show off some submissions that she picked up by fighting Shayna Baszler. Trust me, this is going to be the story of the match, but it's not going to be enough, and Ronda Rousey is going to beat her. Because WWE has no faith in Liv. And Liv is not going to sniff a title again. She's not even going to come close to a singles title. They're going to put her in a tag team, probably with Shayna. I wouldn't be surprised at all. To offer some kind of challenge to Dakota and Io while waiting for Sasha and Naomi to come back. That's how I think it's going to go. Anyway, this match was it's completely flat. And we got Edge and Rey Mysterio defeating the Judgment Day. This match is notable because of Dominic finally turning on Rey after months of speculation and desire and will, the WWE Universe willing it into existence. We finally got the Dominic turn. Not only that, he turned on Edge. He turned on his father. He's turned on back his back on everyone we saw on Raw. He is absolutely Rhea Ripley's bitch. Absolutely, positively, he's got his hair slicked back. He enjoys the sloppy steaks now. I'm afraid the baby believes that people can't change. Shout out to anyone who's getting those references. This was fine, well worked and whatnot, but I still think Edge is overinflated. I don't know. Good for him. Don't get me wrong. Seth Rollins defeated Matt Riddle. I was shocked by this result. Shocked, I tell you, because I was convinced, and I still, because this is not done just yet, right? I was convinced that Riddle was going to win here because he had to avenge, Seth Rollins exposing him as a scumbag, that his wife divorced him and so on, right? Because the scumbags always, but they didn't hear him. Interesting. A lot of people like the match. I'm not that big a fan of Matt Riddle, so it's what it's worth. A lot of people like the match though. And finally, we had the undisputed championship on the line. Roman Reigns successfully retained against Drew McIntyre. Now, you can have a clean finish on Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle, but Roman's matches, they always have to end in some form of fuckery. Because this was a lot like SummerSlam, where it's like the match is happening and then all this bullshit starts to happen. There's we didn't have any John Deere tractors tipping rings over or whatnot. There's nothing of that. Nothing like that at all. But Jesus, I mean, this was... I don't get it. I don't understand why they have to lean in so hard in all of this. I thought the match was fine. I thought the final sequences were very compelling. Thought it told a good story. It was a fun match. I enjoyed it. But the finish is bullshit. Even when you're not supposed to expect bullshit because the Usos can't travel abroad because of felonies, they still manage to create it, right? And okay, first of all, Solo Sikoa, fantastic. Needed to be out of Color Run NXT. Absolutely. the guy's made for main roster. He has the presence. He has the quality of work. He should not be wallowing down there with fucking, whoever. Can't think of anyone right now. But he really shouldn't. He doesn't belong there. Let him get up there with his family, do his thing, have a nice little feud with Sami Zayn to put himself over. It's, that's what I do. It's good stuff. It was a surprise, but it was a good surprise. Now, my question is, were there enough, like the WWE Universe, did they get enough video packages introducing Solo Sikoa? Because, there was probably a lot of people who didn't know who he was. I'm afraid it's going to drive away the casuals, folks. We need build-up. We need weeks of build-up to get to this. What are we doing? So that's the point. So good for him. Good surprise. Although I'm like, okay. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you, a lot of people that are disappointed that Drew didn't win. And when are you going to start listening to Warren Hayes? When are you going to start listening to what I say when I tell you consistently the guy who is going to beat Roman is Cody? Because then I see people going, oh, well, with Drew out of the way, finally I believe that Cody's going to be the guy. I think this is the sign that Cody's going to be the guy. That's what I read. This is the sign that Cody's going to be the guy. I can tell you, good, faithful listeners, watchers of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, I can tell you, and I've been telling you this, but I can tell you again if you prefer, when the sign happened that it was going to be Cody Rhodes. We knew the sign was there. We knew it was going to be Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania this year when we saw that entrance. It's like, there you go. That's your guy. That's the guy. Compounded when he did that promo about winning the championship for his father. It's basic storytelling. And they're dragging it out because that's what WWE does. Now everyone's going, wow, I could see him winning the Royal Rumble. It's been him since he showed up at WrestleMania, folks, and I don't know what to tell you. Anything else in the meantime has been a distraction. Now, did they do an excellent job? They being WWE, did they do an excellent job convincing us that Drew had a chance? Yes. And this is good, but it's not something that I'm going to give them big hugs and cheer for them. This is something that they should do for every challenger. Make the challenger feel like he has a chance. Oh, yeah. Everyone got really disappointed because finally someone that got a chance, that we felt had a chance. Every challenger should feel that way. Every challenger Roman has should be built like Drew was built. What are we even doing? This is what basic booking is. Now who Karrion Kross? Fuck off. Karrion Kross is not the guy. They were like, oh, well, they're going to heat up Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle, come on now. He's in so much shit all the fucking time. What are you even doing? Cody's the dude. Cody's the guy. And everyone is coming up with these scenarios and so on and so forth because they've been conditioned by WWE. And you know what? I just might be surprised myself. But I promise, I'm telling you, plans change, of course, but every sign since April 2022 has pointed to Cody Rhodes being the guy who will dethrone Roman Reigns. You got to listen to your boy Warren here. Cody did not come back to be a mid-carder. Can trust you. You can trust that. You can bet on that. He wasn't going to play second banana to CM Phil. I don't know why more people don't listen to me. I don't. I am, after all, what did I call it earlier? I am the host of the greatest D-list podcast on planet Earth. I mean, I appreciate it. Like I said, the Drew stuff, fantastic. Building him all the way up to here, making him feel like he had a legitimate chance. But again, I'm like, it should be like this every time. It's your top titles. You should be putting top people there. Karrion Kross. Stop. DGMC left a super chat. He says, thank you again for all the super chats tonight, DGMC. I appreciate it. He says, no loyalty to your countryman, Sami Zayn. Shame. Well, look, I have loyalty to him. Not going to be the guy. What are you talking about? They'll probably have a nice little program, though. They'll legitimately probably have a nice little program where Sami's going to work his ass off and they're going to have some fun matches, but there's no way Roman is dropping the titles to Sami. And then, of course, after the match, they Lex Lugered Drew McIntyre by having him go in the ring, stay in the ring with Tyson Fury. And they do a bit, which is usually done when the cameras are off to send the crowd home happy, kind of thing. But they broadcast it on the pay-per-view where Drew is having everyone sing and celebrate. They're singing American Pie in fucking Wales, on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. They're singing Americana. Don McLean could be singing any great British export, but no. Then they start talking about singing Sweet Caroline. But they really did. And I adhere to this. They Lex Lugered Drew McIntyre. And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? When Lex Luger did not win the WWF Championship, but then everyone treated him like he did. He won by disqualification, but didn't win the title. And yet everyone came in and they lifted him up and treated him as a hero, despite the fact that he didn't have the title. It's a complete mess. I was looking at this. This is unreal. Unreal. This is a company that does not know how to send people home happy. This is a company that has no idea how to send people home happy. And we got to do something. But it can't be Roman. We can't have Roman lose. It's not him, it's Cody. But what do? Tyson Fury will sing a song with him. Fuck me. I think Drew felt a little dumb. If I was Drew, I'd feel... If I had been in Drew's shoes, I'd have felt a little silly. Like, what am I doing? What am I celebrating? I just lost a match. I lost a match and, and here's the other thing. It's not even his home country. It's in Wales. He's from Scotland. He's not even a hometown boy. Wrestling is funny, and it's funny like this, and unless you don't live in the United States, it's very hard to get this perception, right? But it's like when wrestlers get introduced and they're all from the US, they'll say they're from, Oklahoma, they're from Texas, and then you'll get the hometown pops and so on and so forth. But then when they travel abroad, and even when they come to Canada, right, it's like they'll go to Toronto and they'll say, Canada's own Natalia. Natalia's from Alberta. She's all the way over, like 3 provinces down. 2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know my own. I do know my geography. And it's like, here's your hometown hero. But it's like, our country is huge. And if you come to Montreal, for instance, and you say, Alberta and Canada's own Natalia, everyone's going to go, fuck off. She's from Alberta. What are you talking? She's from Calgary. We have nothing in common with people from Calgary. What are you talking? You go to Moncton. Same thing. Here's Canada's own Kyle O'Reilly. Well, Kyle O'Reilly is from Vancouver. He's on the complete other coast. We're touching different oceans at this point. But no, it's like, oh, Canada's like, everyone's going to cheer for the Canadians. And it's only when you start seeing this, when they do this abroad, where you're like, it doesn't, just because it's not all the same. No, it's not. AK Germany 96 left a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, Fury always sings that song. Oh, he does? Okay. Casuals were confused. Yeah, I am a casual WWE viewer. Ergo, I was confused. He always sings that song after his matches. That's okay. That's a choice. That's a choice. But it just came off painfully painful. And this was a 30-minute match. I don't know. I don't know, boys and girls. I don't know, friends. But we are going to wrap up this week's weekly Wrestling Inspect. There is so much overrun. I wanted to talk about Chris Statlander as well. Look, if you want to get all my extra thoughts, you want to jump in and get some members only goodness, where I talk about Worlds Collide, where I talk about Braun Strowman returning, where I talk about Chris Statlander, New Japan. Become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. You drop in, become a member, and you'll have access to it. And I will be doing a full Dynamite review for all of you because I love you so goddamn much. And I appreciate, but I sound insincere, but I really am very, very appreciative for all of you. And I don't mind doing it because you all decide to tune in and listen to my ramblings. A bunch of you join me live every Thursday night, and I appreciate that as well. So it's very much the least I can do. Segment things off, make it more easily digestible and for you guys to listen and enjoy. So I'll have a Dynamite review as well set up. I don't know. This weekend, Saturday probably. We'll get it done. In the meantime, I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for listening. If you haven't already, give the video a like. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on your podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, 5-star review, Spotify, 5-star rating. Those things are excellent and would really help out a great deal, and I appreciate that. In the meantime, thank you all. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the chaos that is pro wrestling, and I'll see you next time.